On January 5th, 1643, Anne Clark is granted a divorce, one of the first ever recorded in Britain's American colonies. The Massachusetts Bay Colony was established in 1628, and in the 1630s, 20,000 Puritans, some of them my own ancestors, came to New England from Britain in what is called the Great Puritan Migration. These Massachusetts Bay Puritans are not the same as the Mayflower Pilgrims who established the Plymouth colony a few years earlier, but they are similar. In fact, in 1691, the Plymouth colony is absorbed into the province of Massachusetts Bay. The Puritans are a strict religious group, but they see marriage as a civil contract. It's the Court of Assistants of the Massachusetts Bay Colony that hears the case of Dennis and Anne Clark. Dennis Clark had abandoned his wife Anne and their 2 children for another woman, and then had 2 more children with her. He admits to all of this in a signed affidavit, but he refuses to return to his original wife Anne. The court's decision is to grant the divorce. Some sources name the Clarks as having received the first divorce in the colonies, but there is actually an earlier divorce on record, that of Mr. and Mrs. James Luxford, whose case hit the same Massachusetts court on December 3, 1639. We don't know what happened to Anne after the court's decision, nor do we know whether or not Dennis was punished for abandoning her. In similar cases, some men face some rather severe punishments. For example, in the 1639 case of James Luxford, he was placed in the stocks and fined 160 pounds, which would be more than $40,000 today. Luxford also had to forfeit all his land to his original wife and was banished to England. Though divorces weren't common in the American colonies, they weren't entirely rare either. During the 17th century, about 1 divorce was issued each year in the colonies of Massachusetts and Connecticut. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1531, under penalty of excommunication, the Pope forbids England's King Henry VIII to remarry. In 1875, Paris's Palais Garnier Opera House opens. It will later inspire the Phantom of the Opera. In 1920, the Yankees purchased the contract of Babe Ruth from the Red Sox for $125,000. In 1933, construction begins on San Francisco's iconic Golden Gate Bridge. It is completed 4 years later. In 1945, during World War II, Japanese pilots received the first order to become kamikaze. In 1980, Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang becomes the first hip-hop single to enter the top 40. In 2024, a door plug detaches from an Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 plane shortly after takeoff. And now, it's time for our Today in History quiz. When did William the Conqueror invade England from Normandy? 1066, 1149, 1215, or 1347? Think you know the answer? Drop your guesses in the comments below. Find out if you're right tomorrow on Today in History.